It has been a relentless crackdown and zero tolerance for terror. In just 48 hours, 6 terrorists have been eliminated in 2 high-intensity encounters across South Kashmir. In a big win today, 3 terrorists were gunned down in a fierce gun battle in Nadir village of Tral in Pulwama in South Kashmir. And News9 is bringing you an exclusive, a chilling video showing the terrorists moments before they were neutralized by the Indian Army and the Jammu and Kashmir police. Acting on pinpoint intelligence, security forces launched a cordon and search operation in Tral. Initial inputs had suggested the presence of 2 to 3 heavily armed terrorists holed up in the area. As the joint team of army and the police moved in, the terrorists opened fire, triggering an intense encounter that ended with all 3 being killed. This comes just 2 days after security forces eliminated 3 Lashkar-e-Taiba operatives in Shopian in South Kashmir, taking the total count to 6 terrorists downed in 2 days. We have News9's Mehraj Ahmed now joining us live from Kashmir. We also have Major General Jagatbir Singh, Defence and Strategy expert, with us on the broadcast. Major General Jagatbir Singh, I'm just coming to you. Let me first get the ground update from the ground from Mehraj Ahmed. Mehraj, talk to us. It's the second encounter in 2 days.
Well, Krishna, after Pahalgam bison attack, security and intelligence agencies have charted out a list of 14 active militants in South Kashmir, and that is what we are getting from our sources, that 6 militants have been killed from that list, and that is within 48 hours. That suggests us how security forces are doubling their efforts against terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. And as per Home Minister, as per Defence Minister is in Kashmir right now, and it was in fact some hours ago. So we can say that he clearly mentioned that the fight of India against terrorism will continue, and it will continue in Kashmir and outside Kashmir as well. And he expected that Pakistan should have supported that fight against terrorism, but that rogue country is going to support terrorism. But so we can say that security forces are doubling their efforts, and we are seeing on the ground that such militants are getting eliminated. It was 2 days earlier that in Shopian Keller operation, 3 Lashkar-e-Taiba militants were killed, and today in Pulwama Tral operation, 3 Jaish-Mohammed militants were killed, who are believed to be local so far. As per intelligence sources said, they are locals, and premier, we can say that top commander of Jaish-e-Mohammed, Asif Sheikh, was among them, whose name surfaced in the preliminary investigation of Pahalgam bison attack. But then later security agencies cleared that name and told that bison Pahalgam was carried out by FT group, and there was some local support as well as. But we can say that this module has been eliminated by security forces on a specific tip, and this is a great success for security forces on their behalf. Yes, Krishna.
Mehraj Ahmed there getting us the latest. Clearly there is a doubling down on efforts. Major General Jagatbir Singh, this is clearly, we live in the post-Pahalgam world as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. India's security forces, be it the army or the Jammu and Kashmir police, have literally doubled down on their efforts, and you're seeing the results of those efforts.
Absolutely, the results are very evident, very clear. Last 48 hours, 6 terrorists have been eliminated. There's no doubt that this is a net result of a lot of intelligence which has gone into this, and thereafter tracking the terrorists, and then they're finally eliminating them. So search operations would have been carried out based on certain credible intelligence which would have been obtained by the armed forces, and thereafter these terrorists have been eliminated. But this is something that is ongoing. You'll see many more such incidents which will come up in the near future, days to come. And this is something that the armed forces are fully, trained for, equipped for, and have been carrying out for some time. But of course, post-Pahalgam, the focus has intensified, and this is elimination of terrorists is naturally a step in the right direction as far as bringing back normalcy to J&K post-Pahalgam is concerned.
Right, an important step to bring back normalcy. Mehraj, talk to us, about that word normalcy in Jammu and Kashmir. With this doubling down of security efforts, how exactly is the situation on the ground for the people on ground?
Yes, after Pahalgam Bison attack, I can say that 3,000 people were called for security interrogations, or we can say for question and answering sessions. And that was a drill, we can say security drill, and that is what we are getting from ground. That was seriously a step towards doubling the efforts of security forces. After Pahalgam Bison attack, security forces are checking and scrutinizing each and every possible threat or input which they are getting from ground, so as to avoid any such attack or any such mischief from such groups in coming days. And that we can say that is why such encounters are taking place, and according to them they are doubling their efforts so as to eliminate each and every threat who is going to pose a threat in coming days as well. So we can say that security forces are on ground are really alert after Pahalgam Bison attack, and after we can say that government has given them full support, and as per as what government of India is taking against the stand which is government of India is taking against terrorism is clear. There is no tolerance, or we can say zero tolerance against terrorism, and that is what we are seeing in the ground. Back to you, Krishna.
Major General Jagatbir Singh, that zero tolerance, that's the word, from post Pahalgam. And that means that, while we have told the world that if there is another Pakistan-sponsored terror attack in India, we will strike Pakistan, we're simultaneously doubling efforts to ensure that the terrorists on Indian soil are flushed out first.
Absolutely. I think the new doctrine as far as doubling down of terror is concerned, was clearly articulated by the Honorable Prime Minister in his address to the nation on 12th May, in which he talked of, terrorism will be considered as an act of war. So there's no doubt about that. But in steps towards that, yes, naturally, we have to double down on the terrorists, and actions have been taken by the armed forces, particularly those troops posted in J&K, as well as, it's a whole lot of people are also involved which are behind the scenes, and that, I say, are the intelligence agencies. So you have to get hold of the intelligence regarding the presence of these terrorist likely places, and there's collaboration between the armed forces and the agencies, as well as the Jammu and Kashmir security police. And I think that's something that is very visible in the results that we have seen lately, and the elimination of 6 terrorists.
Elimination of 6 terrorists in 48 hours. Major General Jagatbir Singh, and this was this one in Tral, this second encounter in 48 hours in Tral was a joint operation between Army and the Jammu and Kashmir police, and from while the armed forces will be will play the main role when it comes to striking the terror camps in Pakistan, the coordination between India's armed forces and the Jammu and Kashmir police has again come to the fore with this encounter, isn't it?
Absolutely, you need coordination. There's issues of unified command which are there, but there's great coordination between the armed forces and the J&K police, as well as the other central armed police forces which are located there. So I mean, there has to be coordination between all organs of the government, and this is a whole government approach towards eliminating terrorism. So all organs of the government have a role to play.
Organs of the government role to play, and Mehraj, one last thing, at this stage we're looking at more such encounters in the near future, isn't it?
They've got details of terrorists who are there.
And as for security forces, yes,
we can say the security forces have that, so the efforts are constantly on to eliminate this menace.
Right, we'll leave it at that. Mehraj Ahmed of News9 joining us from Jammu and Kashmir, and Major General Jagatbir Singh, Defence Strategy Expert. Thank you, both of you, for taking time out to be with us here on the broadcast.
Thank you.
India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has said that now moving on, if supplying drones wasn't enough, Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has now openly backed Pakistan, sparking widespread outrage in India and intensifying calls to boycott Turkey and Azerbaijan. Referring to Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif as his dear brother, Erdogan vowed full support to Pakistan, saying that Turkey would stand by it in good times and bad.
Between Pakistan and India, the tension that broke out was ended with ceasefire, and I wish to express our pleasure for this. The nefarious terror attack, or with the missile attack against Pakistan, we had a very clear stance. We expressed our support to the Pakistani public and the tension which reached serious levels, and in order to decrease it, we made efforts. With Brother Shahbaz Sharif, we had a phone call which was very significant. We, with patience and common sense and right approach, for this approach, we congratulate the Pakistani brothers and sisters. And in the next phase, we made a warning to not give in to provocations, which I repeat again. The new calm environment reached with the ceasefire hopefully will facilitate the resolution of all issues, including the water issue.
His statement came in reply to Shehbaz Sharif's post thanking Turkey for its backing after India's counter-terror Operation Sindoor. Erdogan hailed Turkey-Pakistan ties as one of the finest examples of friendship and ended his message with "Long live Pakistan-Turkey friendship." Reports have also pointed to Turkish-made Aziz-Guard Songar drones being used by Pakistan, and in response, calls for a boycott of Turkey and Azerbaijan have surged online in India. Hashtags like #boycott Turkey and boycott Azerbaijan have been trending, and major Indian travel platforms have reacted. Make My Trip has advised against non-essential travel to Turkey and Azerbaijan. ixigo suspended bookings to all three, Turkey, Azerbaijan and China. Clear Trip reported a 260% rise in cancellations to these countries. Ease My Trip's founder also called for a boycott of Chinese products as well. Moving on. India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has said that all the dealings with Pakistan will strictly be bilateral and that the Indus Waters Treaty will be in abeyance until Pakistan stops terror. That's the latest message coming in. Tough talk from India's External Affairs Minister, making it clear that the Kashmir issue is strictly a two-way conversation between India and Pakistan, and no other party will be involved. And more importantly, with Pakistan urging India to reconsider the abeyance of Indus Waters Treaty, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar saying that it will be in abeyance until Pakistan stops terror.
Let me say a few things here. One, we actually got a lot of international support. Many ministers, many leaders called up PM, many ministers called me up. We had a Security Council resolution which very clearly said that the perpetrators of the attack should be held accountable. And on May 7th morning, we held them accountable through the action which was taken through Operation Sindoor. Now, having said that, I know, what you have spoken to me earlier, that many issues have been raised. I honestly don't see the, to me, things are fairly clear. So let me take this opportunity to spell out our position. One, where Pakistan is concerned, our relations, our dealings with them will be bilateral and strictly bilateral. That is a national consensus for many years, and there is absolutely no change in that consensus that dealings with Pakistan will be bilateral.
India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar there, making India stand very clear. We have our Executive Editor for Strategic Affairs and National Security, Aditya Raj Kaul, now joining us on the phone line for more. Aditya, this is a reiteration of India's policy on terror post the Pahalgam terror attack. Nothing moves until Pakistan stops terror.
Absolutely. A very strong statement by External Affairs Minister Jaishankar This is in fact the second statement from Government of India coming in the last few hours. Earlier it was the Defence Minister in Kashmir, and now the External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar saying that the relations with Pakistan are bilateral in nature. There will be nothing apart from terror and POK that will be discussed, and actually saying that there was a lot of support that came in from the international community. In fact, even the UNSC resolution that perpetrators must be held accountable. And on May 7th, as part of the Operation Sindoor, when 9 terror bases were hit by India inside Pakistan, they were certainly held accountable through Operation Sindoor. Strong statement. He also says on the cessation of firing and military action between India and Pakistan that we achieved the goals which were set out to do by destroying the terror infrastructure. Since the key goals were achieved, I think we reasonably took the position, because even at the start of the operation, we had sent a message to Pakistan saying we are striking at terror infrastructure and not military, and military has an option to stand out and not interfere. They chose not to take that good advice. Once they got hit badly on 10th May, the satellite pictures show how much damage we did and what little damage they did. It's clear who wanted cessation of firing. So clearly putting the blame on Pakistan begging for a dialogue, on Pakistan reaching the USA for mediation, and in fact Pakistan DGMO himself reaching Indian DGMO for a quick negotiation for an understanding on ceasefire. So this is the first time that External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has spoken in detail ever since the understanding of ceasefire was reached, and ever since the entire Operation Sindoor was launched. He has been speaking to tens and tens of foreign ministers and counterparts from across the globe, at least 80 to 100 in number ever since the Pahalgam terror attack, and trying to make the world understand that India had the right to hit back, India has the right to hit back, and terrorism from Pakistan continuously is emanating, and India is certainly not going to tolerate that.
Right, Aditya, stay with us. Until terror stops, nothing moves. The big message coming in from India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar. Another big message is also the fact that as far as the Kashmir issue is concerned, only vacating POK or Pakistan-occupied Kashmir is left. Let's listen to what India's External Affairs Minister had to say.
Water issues have been raised. Again, you all know, and I re-emphasize, the Cabinet Committee on Security and the government, obviously, was very clear that the Indus Waters Treaty is held in abeyance and will be continued to be held in abeyance until cross-border terrorism by Pakistan is credibly and irrevocably stopped. So sometimes the Kashmir issue has been brought up. Again, the only thing which remains to be discussed on Kashmir is the vacation of illegally occupied Indian territory in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. We are open to discussing that with Pakistan. So I want, to spell out our positions very clearly so that, what is in your minds and what many of you have raised with me on various occasions. The government's position is very, very clear.
Aditya, the other big message to my mind is that reiteration, India hammering down that point that as far as the Kashmir issue is concerned, first, it's only a bilateral conversation between India and Pakistan. No other third party, can be involved in it. And the second is that as far as the Kashmir issue itself is concerned, the only thing left to be discussed is when and how Pakistan will vacate Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
That's right. That's been a long-stated position of Government of India, that India is not willing to speak with Pakistan. There will be no diplomatic or a political dialogue. If at all there ever is a dialogue, it will only be on two issues. One is Pakistan-sponsored terrorism, and second is on Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. We are waiting for Pakistan to stop, pause, and completely end the sponsored terrorism, nurturing of terrorism, and nurturing and sheltering of launch pads and key bases of terror groups like Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Toiba, and Hizbul Mujahideen, and at the same time how Pakistan-occupied Kashmir has remained for decades in illegal occupation of Pakistan. It's not just Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, but Gilgit-Baltistan as well. And it is an Indian territory legally, and it has to be with India at a certain point in time. Whether India gets it militarily, India gets it diplomatically, or Pakistan surrenders it, remains to be seen in future. But certainly, India not willing to hold any kind of a dialogue with Pakistan. India has been successful in isolating Pakistan over the years, which has led to economic collapse within Pakistan as well. And External Affairs Minister Jaishankar fully stating it yet again, that it is only POK that is left to be discussed, nothing else. In fact, earlier, a few months back, when he was asked a similar question about what India plans to do on Jammu and Kashmir, he was very sure, and he said, on a lighter note, that you have seen the first season of this series on Netflix, and the second series remains, and that is on Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
Right. That on a lighter note, he's made the point very clear. Now we have Brijesh Pandey, my colleague, joining us from the newsroom. Brijesh, this is Operation Sindoor. We kept saying it was just the beginning, and in the External Affairs Minister's own words, it's just the first season 1 of India's counter-attack on terror.
Well, I think, there are two messages which are being sent out, if I would say. That, the first message is to the United States of America, when they were, there were talk about President Donald Trump saying that, that he's willing to mediate, and, many believe that it opened the, for the first time after several years, that the bilateral talks between India was open to a third party. I think External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has made it very, very clear that there's only going to be a bilateral talk with Pakistan with zero scope for any third party involvement, and also went on to emphasize that the only part left as far as the talks on Kashmir is vacation of POK. If you look at, ever since the second press conference, the DGMO, and, once Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the country at large, his second address while at Adampur Air Base, and then in the morning, when Defence Minister Rajnath Singh spoke about how Pakistan is a rogue country and how can we trust him with a nuclear weapon, one thing is very, very clear, that India has sent out a very firm and undeniable message that come what may, India is not going to compromise on its interests. There is no way of vacating any kind of ceding even an inch to Pakistan or to any other country as far as the narrative on war on terror is concerned. And that is the reason why, there were talks of nuclear radiation and all earlier, 3-4 days back. They made it very, very clear that we cannot trust a rogue nation with nuclear missiles. IAEA has to make sure that it is under their safeguard. And the way, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has gone about addressing all the key contentious issue on which, the Pakistan is bending over backwards to placate India, the most important being the Indus Waters Treaty. And he has very clearly said, and the most important line, Krishna, was that the terror infrastructure should not only be dismantled, but irrevocably dismantled for them before any kind of action and word on Indus Waters Treaty is concerned. So, I mean, it's absolutely tough words coming from the government of India, who has refused to cede an inch. And I think this is a fallout of the policy that, next act of terror is going to be an act of war.
Right, Brijesh, and also, it's also a fallout of the kind of statements that Donald Trump has been making. Making it seem as if, the US is the one who is brokering this big peace between India and Pakistan, and that, that vague statements coming from the US that, they will meet at a neutral venue and discuss the outstanding issues. And India is like, what neutral venue? What outstanding issues? What US? We have made it very clear it is between us and Pakistan, and even between us and Pakistan, the terms and conditions are very clear. Stop terror, vacate Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Nothing else. Until then, no Indus Waters Treaty, nothing.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is the reason why I said that the biggest message is for United States of America. Because, we have seen a lot of statement which has been coming from Donald Trump, where he's saying that, he used the trade card to broker peace or ceasefire between India and Pakistan. India has clearly debunked all of these claims, and they have made it very, very clear that, that there's no such discussion on trade happened with United States of America. The only thing which happened was DGMO Pakistan calling on DGMO India, and that is how this cessation of hostility which India is saying was achieved between the two countries. Other than that, nothing is happening. And this is the reason why when External Affairs Minister said that it is going to be a bilateral talk with zero scope for any third party involvement, and also the fact that, was a clear message to America as well that, its time has come for you to stop making these kind of statements of which India is not going to take any cognizance of. I think it's a very, very clear-cut message, not only to the United States of America, but also to Pakistan, that if it really wants, the Indus Treaty, Water Treaty to be resumed and situation go back to normal, it has to not only do, it has to be, it has not only to be done, it has to be seen to be done. The dismantling of terror camps and all, or before India takes any forward-looking step in that direction.
Pradesh, also it's a message to Pakistan that you can't keep going crying to the US every single time terror camps on your soil are struck, because you have to end that. Nothing is going to happen if you go crying to the US. You have to deal with us, talk to us face to face and deal with the issues, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. And if you look at the last 20, 30 years, the fact that many believe that that if you are a nuclear nation, nobody can engage into any kind of conflict, limited or longer, because in the end it follows mad doctrine. It assures destruction of both sides, and India can go this far and no further. I think one of the biggest positive fallout of this particular secession has been India taking on the elephant in the room, the N word, which is the nuclear deal, nuclear missiles, and talk about nuclear bombs. India has made it very, very clear, starting from Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to External Affairs Minister. They have made it very clear that, the only issue the world needs to be talking about is not about the stockpile of nuclear weapon and missiles in Pakistan, but about, can you trust a rogue nation with those missiles? And that is the only thing which they should be talking about. They talks about IAEA, it should have a complete control over the missile system and all. So I think, India has also gone very aggressively after the Pakistan's, the intended threat of a nuclear attack or, nuclear deterrence per se as far as India is concerned. Krishna?
Brijesh Pandey there joining us for that big story that we're tracking. Let's again listen into what India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar had to say.
Let me say a few things here. One, we actually got a lot of international support. Many ministers, many leaders called up PM, many ministers called me up. We had a Security Council resolution which very clearly said that the perpetrators of the attack should be held accountable. And on May 7th morning, we held them accountable through the action which was taken through Operation Sindoor. Now, having said that, I know, what you have spoken to me earlier, that many issues have been raised. I honestly don't see the, to me, things are fairly clear. So let me take this opportunity to spell out our position. One, where Pakistan is concerned, our relations, our dealings with them will be bilateral and strictly bilateral. That is a national consensus for many years, and there is absolutely no change in that consensus that dealings with Pakistan will be bilateral. Water issues have been raised. Again, you all know, and I re-emphasize, the Cabinet Committee on Security and the government, obviously, was very clear that the Indus Waters Treaty is held in abeyance and will be continued to be held in abeyance until cross-border terrorism by Pakistan is credibly and irrevocably stopped. So sometimes the Kashmir issue has been brought up. Again, the only thing which remains to be discussed on Kashmir is the vacation of illegally occupied Indian territory in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. We are open to discussing that with Pakistan. I want, to spell out our positions very clearly so that, what is in your minds and what many of you have raised with me on various occasions. The government's position is very, very clear.
Now, time now for a short breather. News and updates will continue on the other side. Keep watching News 9.